Café Negro show, Madrid, España. My name is George.
And I'm Adriana.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about God's faithfulness. So let's get started. Let's talk about God's faithfulness.
Yes, it's kind of like growing plants.
Growing plants. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, so there are some steps to like planting, right? So we have, and I'm going to just kind of briefly go over them. So we have consider what to plant, pick the best spots, clear the ground, test and improve your soil, prepare your planting beds, pick your plants, start planting, and water at the right time. Right?
Wow.
So there's a lot of steps. And I remember I remember when we first got our house and we tried to plant for the first time. So we went and we bought this like beautiful plant, right? It was really colorful.
Oh, we were excited. It was our first house. We went to, what was it, Home Depot? Or Lowe's?
No, it was actually like a specific spot.
It was.
Yes.
It was actually a nursery, plant nursery thing. And we got like the brightest flowers. I mean,
so beautiful.
We got so many plants full of colors. We're so excited.
We didn't ask anybody. We just got it.
We just went and got colors.
Yes, and we put it out. We were so happy. And then we came out the next morning and the plant was dead.
All of them. All the plants that we had bought, they were all overnight. Every single day. We spent all day the day before putting them up. So so how does this
So it turns out that plant wasn't an outdoor plant, but we didn't know because we didn't follow any steps and we didn't ask anyone.
So how does that blend into faithfulness?
Yes, because if you skip one of the steps that I just talked about, your outcome won't be the same, right? So if you skip, like, let's just say, clearing the ground, right? You might miss getting something like that's not going to make the plant grow, right?
Correct.
And so if you skip it, your outcome won't be the same, and you can delay the blessings of God by doing that.
Wow. So now, there is a lot of steps that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, like you just said, you can't miss one. So in God's faithfulness, right, why is it so difficult sometimes to be faithful to all these steps? I mean, why?
I mean, I think there's various reasons I think that maybe, like, because there's so many steps, maybe we just want to, like, rush through it and we just want to get it done with.
Shortcuts.
And yes, and the outcome won't be the same if you, like, rush it, right? I mean, you might get some sort of outcome. It might be some form of successful, but it's not going to be God's plan.
Look at that. And we all have a plan from God, especially right now that it started raining. It's not raining, guys. It's hailing. It's hail.
Oh, wow. It's really cold.
There's literally pieces of ice falling down. This is interesting. I mean, we're live, guys. You guys are experiencing a rain, but it's just one cloud. Oh, that's awesome. It's dry rain. Look, it's hail.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What an awesome experience. Should we go inside for a little bit? We'll be right back.
Foto aquí el chico cortando jamón.
¿Cómo se llama aquí este?
Esto, jamón.
Jamón ibérico, ¿eh?
Ahí está. Muy bueno. Lo mejor del mundo el jamón.
Ya está. Look at that.
De comer, ¿eh? Lo mejor de lo mejor. El mundo, jamón. Y después las mujeres.
Why is it so difficult to be faithful?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that it has to do with, like, maybe, like, rushing through it. Some people just don't like the process, right? They're not, maybe we're not patient, so we just want to skip a step. But what can happen is that, it turns out that, you could have this beautiful plans, kind of referring back to it, and if you skip a step, you might have a pretty plan for a little bit, but it might die, like, quickly.
Like the next day. And as you're talking about it, it makes sense because, you're talking about plants, and we can assimilate that to the skills, the talents that God has given us. And how are we, what are we doing with these skills, with these seeds that God has given us? Are we taking the right steps in order for them to be alive, in order for him to produce? Or are we being careless, or are we missing steps? Are we not being faithful where we need to be in order to see the fruits of what God has put into us? So, I mean, apart from understanding that it is difficult, there's some steps, just like planting, you said, there's a lot of steps that need to be taken.
Yes.
So just like our skills, they're not going to be at the greatest moment at the beginning. It's something that you have to be consistent. You have to be faithful. And the Bible talks about that. Not necessarily be perfect, but he talks about being faithful in the little things. And could you tell us, where can we read that about?
Yeah, so that is on Matthew 25, verse 21. It says, it's the second part of the verse. It says, you have been faithful with a few things, and I will put you in charge of many things.
That's awesome.
Come and share your master's happiness. And that's just beautiful, because like if we, don't follow the steps, we can delay the blessings that God has for us, right? Because we might have to start from scratch, right? Because we just skipped this step, we might not be doing God's plan. So we can delay those blessings, if we're not being faithful to God, or just our outcome is not what we expected, because again, it's just not God's plan.
And it's our expectations also get in the way, like you said in the beginning, we like it quick and easy, especially in this generation.
Yeah.
We like things fast. I mean, you click send, the message goes to space and into somebody else's phone in less than 2 seconds. That's just really fast. But there's a beauty in following the process, right? So, and that's what God is saying about it. I love the fact that in the verse it says, be faithful in the little, because it's true. There is a lot of steps, but sometimes we don't see the results right away. But if you're able to be faithful in the little things, but be consistent, little by little, you'll be growing and growing that plant until you see the fruits.
Yes, and if there is like a step that is really difficult, I mean, there are going to be times when the step is difficult. Just don't forget that God never gives us something that we cannot bear, right? And also there's a verse in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 13, that it says, if we are faithless, he remains faithful, right? For he cannot disown himself. So he will always be faithful. There's those times that we may feel like, oh, this is too hard, I have no faith, but just remember that God is always faithful.
I mean, that sounds like a good business decision. Yeah. We're always putting effort in so many things. Sometimes we put our time and our effort in somebody or something, and we don't know what the return is going to be, if they're going to be faithful to us, if they're going to do us bad, or if it's not going to work out. Right. But we know that if you are faithful to God, that is a 100% ROI. What does that mean? Return on investment. I know for your job line, it kind of means something else. But yes, definitely. If you're going to be faithful to God, you will be recompensado.
Yes, so don't skip a step. And God is just like, he's your most loyal friend. He has the best plans for you.
Yes. So thank you so much for watching Café Negro Show. Please stay tuned. We got our next episode coming up. It's going to be called Barcelona, Spain, because we're going to be in Barcelona. So thank you for joining, guys. God bless.
Esto con pimiento deshidratado, luego cebolla caramelizada con camembert, salmorejo, carbonara, salsa rosa y esa no me acuerdo.
Ya lo escucharon. Gracias.